Hey, today we're going to be reviewing the Skytrak Plus and find out if it is or is not the right launch monitor for you. Let's hit some shots and check it out.
Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hey, before we get started, I just want to make sure you're aware, in the interest of full disclosure, I am a QA tester with Foresight Sports. However, the opinions in this video that I share are mine and mine alone and have nothing to do with Foresight Sports. So with that, let's get into the video.
So one of the things I'm most excited for with the new Skytrak Plus is the Doppler radar system that they've added to it, which will give you club information. And what Skytrak says about it is the new Doppler radar system delivers useful club data, including club head speed, smash factor, club path, and face angle. Additionally, applying proprietary machine learning algorithms to that data delivers precision at a level matched only by the highest end launch monitors on the market. We're going to test that in a future video where I'm going to put this up against a GC Quad, and we're just going to see exactly how accurate the club data is on this. But that's a future video, so make sure you subscribe to my channel and ring that bell notification so you find out exactly when that video drops and you don't miss it. But anyways, so Skytrak Plus retails for $29.95. So it's up in a price bracket with some of the prosumer launch monitors like the Bushnell Launch Pro, which another video I'm going to make is a head-to-head comparison with this versus the GC3, which is essentially the Launch Pro. So I did do an unboxing video of the Skytrak Plus, and I kind of went over all the physical features of it. So I'll link that in the description below if you want to go ahead and take a look at that. So I'm going to skip that in this video, but it is built really well. They do make a nice protective case for it that you can pick up too in case you're worried about shanking it into it. You know, it's all plastic, but it's pretty solid. Let's go ahead and get into the software that comes with it. It's got some really exciting features I can't wait to show you. And then after that, we'll go ahead and test it out. I'll go over some of the cons that I think, some of the drawbacks of it. There are a couple things that I think they still need to work on, but we'll get into that later in the video. Okay, so as you can see, we start out at the home page here. You have practice, challenge, and game improvement. Practice and game improvement, or you can spend most of your time. I'll go over challenge really quickly, but this is an area that I think they could use a lot of improvement in. There is a couple of other little features like this device level that's cool. It just kind of tells you the tilt and roll of the unit, and that it can compensate for up to 5 degrees of out of level. So mine is got 0 roll, and it's got, looks like 1 degree of tilt. But it can compensate for that. And then up here you have the alignment mode, which what it does is it'll turn on the left-handed or the other-handed laser, and so you'll have 2 dots that you can use to align the unit. What's odd is it's not really working right now. As you can see here, I still have 1 dot. There should be another one right here that would give me something to align with. You can, you know, set an alignment rod down, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be working. Might be a bug in their system, I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and start on the range, and we'll just hit a few shots to kind of demo how the range works and, you know, what the big features are. Let's go ahead, we'll hit a 60 degree, and we'll just hit it out there. We're not gonna define a target. You do have the option to set a green or a fairway. This is actually pretty cool because you have easy, medium, and hard green, so just based on the shape and size. And then you have this, you can go as short as 10 yards and as long as 300 yards. So we're gonna do, say, 85 yards, and we'll do like a medium green. So, well, yeah, we'll go ahead and define one. So let's go ahead and try to hit this with a 60 degree wedge. And this is what you might be familiar with if you had a Skytrak before, or you know, just used one in the past. Is you have launch angle, total spin, ball speed, club speed, spin axis, and side angle. But when you go to shot detail, this is where the update really shines. So you have, well, they used to have the shot optimizer that you had to click to kind of see what was going on with, you know, your optimal ranges. But now you can see it on screen as you hit, which is great. So it'll give you these, you know, tell you if your launch angle, backspin, and descent angle are optimal based on your other launch numbers, and I'm assuming the club selection. But then it'll also give you things like your face to target, face to path, club path, you know, spin axis, side angle, club speed, ball speed, max height, and smash factor. And you also get the shot score. My understanding of this is based on the shot you hit, this would be like your assumed score if you went and played 18 holes. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below, but that's my understanding of shot score. Now, just like the last Skytrak, you have the laser, you got to put the ball on. With this one, they say that the hitting area is a little bit bigger, so you don't have to be as precise, but we're just going to go ahead and put it on the dot just like we used to, with the logo facing the unit, because that'll help it track and get a more accurate reading with the cameras. So we got our 60 degree, 85 yards. Let's go ahead and hit one and see what it says. Should be a pull. All right, so I can't believe it happened on the first swing. One thing that kind of plagued the original Skytrak that is still an issue with the current Skytrak is misreads. It just, or I shouldn't say misreads, missed shots completely. So that's miss number one. And it'll drive you crazy. And I think that's honestly, one of the biggest cons of the Skytrak is it is prone to those misses. But let's go ahead and try again. Picked it up that time, pulled it again. That's okay. All right, so this is the basic screen view. So you have your launch angle, spin, all this information here. And then if we go into shot detail, we find out that I launched it too low. The spin was good, but also the descent angle was too low, because obviously I launched it too low, which I did thin it a little bit. So, this matches what I felt. Club path was very much, left, so out to in, which, explains why I pulled it, and pulls generally go too far. So all that seems pretty accurate. Now we'll go ahead and leave this view up on screen and we'll hit one more. So go ahead and position the ball with the logo facing the unit. And let's see if we can hit a better one. Okay, felt better. Might be a little short. Oh, not bad at all. I'll take that. Okay, so spun it a hair too much, launched it, still a little low, but our descent angle was in the optimal range. I don't know about a shot score of 116 when I put it essentially right next to the hole. So I don't know how it factors this shot score. When I was doing my testing, I would hit shots, 250-yard green. If I hit the green, it was saying my shot score was in the 60s. So I don't know why it's saying 116 for a dart of a wedge. But ball speed, club head speed, side angle, spin, all that looks about right. Club path, face to path, and face to target. Those all look, like they make sense based on the shot and what I felt. I am going to do a video of the quad versus this so we can actually get the face measurements on a GC quad and see how they compare to this. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification so when that video drops, you won't miss it. But let's go ahead and hit a couple more. One thing that you'll start to see on the right side is that a little bit of a heat map of my shots. Might be a little long. Oh no, it's right there. Get in the hole. Okay, so you can see the dispersion circle. That's this like little oval right there. But you'll see as I build a heat map from hitting more shots, it's not just like an oval or a circular dispersion circle. It'll shape based on the shots you actually hit, and if you have an outlier, it'll just be out there. It won't make this giant dispersion circle just because you have one outlier, and it gives you, I think, a more accurate representation of how you really hit your shots. Okay, hit that one pretty good. Okay, now let's go ahead and hit one a little further away from target. So we'll go ahead and hit one. Actually, we'll go extreme. I'm just gonna hit a shorty, and you'll see the difference between the dispersion circle and the heat map. So that one will be well short. Now watch the dispersion circle. See how big it is now? But look at the heat map on the screen. It's just, it's a separate little spot. So, you know, if you hit one, oh, that's just an outlier. It's not really, you know, in my typical area that I hit to. So now I'll go ahead and hit one on the green. Maybe I'll go a little bit long, but relatively straight. So I'll just go a little bit past it. Now the dispersion circle gets a lot bigger. Look at the giant dispersion circle I'm looking at. That is not helpful at all. However, this heat map you see on your screen right here, I think this is great because obviously I'm right on target right here, okay? But the only thing I wish is that it had some kind of representation of the green I was hitting to. If I back out of this, you can actually see the green and then see this ridiculous dispersion circle, all because I had one slightly long, but then one well short, and it's trying to get all of them in there. So this detail shot right here is great. And then you just, you know, if I shank one over here, it'll just have a little spot over here. If I pull one way over here, you know, if you start to creep out more, it'll grow with you. But this is an awesome representation, and I think you'll have a much more accurate idea of really where you're hitting your shots. So, you know, then you get this graphic here that kind of shows path. I'll do one more shot and kind of try to do an extreme here so these arrows aren't stacked on top of each other. But if I go, I'll try to get my path going way right in the face, or way left, and I'll get the face way right. See if it'll read it, and I'll try to separate those. Okay, so big cut. That should, it's on target, that's funny. All right, now you can see I got this path going way left, but I got the face so far right of my path that it was actually right at the target. So, I mean, that's how you hit a cut that finishes on target. So that's actually really funny that I got it so close. But this is really cool. It again gives you this representation of what your path did, what your face did, and so you can kind of see what you were doing in your swing. So that's great. And again, you know, is this information here accurate? I know that my path was going way right. My face had to be way left, and my face had to be way right of my path for it to do what it did. So I think these are pretty spot on. You know, it could be 19 instead of 23, who knows? But that it gives you enough information to know what you did, and that's the important part. So that is the driving range. That's shot optimizer. I'm not going to hit a bunch of different clubs on the range because I have so much more I want to show you. So the next thing we're going to talk about. Oh, and let's see. I don't remember if I did this, but you know, you have fairways and greens, so you can practice dog legs. You can say where the dog leg is and all that stuff. So that's really cool too if you want to practice some tee shots. So let's get into what I think is the bread and butter of their software, and that is your game improvement section. So your game improvement, we have bag mapping, skills assessment, wedge matrix. I'm just going to touch on this a little bit. Maybe I'll make a separate video of these. But the bag mapping is basically you hit all your clubs, and it gives you a report at the end letting you know what your gaps are. So you specify what you got in your bag, and I have a hybrid setup that I saved. I also have a 5-wood setup, which is the same thing, but a 5-wood in there. If I want to have a whole report of that, or I can just say, hey, you know what? I just want to hit 3 clubs, and I'll plug in, you know, 4-iron, 5-wood, 3-wood, and so I can know what the gaps are between, you know, above and below my 5-wood. I don't have to go through the whole report again if I don't want to. The default is, you know, 13 clubs, undefined. You plug them in. You can set your intended gap, you know, anywhere from 5 yards to 20 yards, and a gap tolerance, a plus minus, whatever that distance you chose was. You can go up to 10 shots per club, between 3 and 10, and select how many that you want to keep of your best shots. So I like 5 and keeping 4 personally. It's pretty exhausting to hit all your clubs. So once you've gone through and hit all the clubs in your bag, you end up with this bag mapping report. And this gives you some really good insights into your bag, how far you hit each club, and where you might need to adjust your bag. So for me, it said my closest gap was between my pitching wedge and my 9-iron of only 6 yards. My furthest gap was between my hybrid and 3-wood, which is 31 yards, which between a 4 hybrid and a 3-wood, you'd expect a pretty big gap. So that I'm not too worried about, but this is way too close. So, as you look down here, it says, it kind of shows you in this chart of how far you carry each one. You can see kind of where things stack up. So I actually have a bit too much of a gap between my sand wedge and my gap wedge. So what I'd ideally like to do is bring this gap wedge just a little bit back. So maybe add a degree of loft, and then maybe take off a degree of loft to my 9-iron, and that'll help close this gap up really nicely. And my pitching wedge can just stay where it's at. So, what I might do is just go to the golf shop and have them adjust my clubs. And then gapping between 7 and 8 was good. 7 to 6 is good. But then my 6 and 5 are a little too close together. The gapping here is good. So I got to figure out if maybe I just didn't hit my 5-iron well enough in this, or if I do need to adjust this. So, I might consider adding taking a degree of loft off my 5-iron and boosting it up just a little bit close to my 4. It might sit nicely right here. And then my 4-iron to my 4 hybrid's good. This gap I don't worry about, and this gap I don't worry about too much. But right in here, I've discovered I got a little too much bunching, and maybe right here a little bit. So that's bag mapping. You can scroll down through the report, and it kind of shows you. This is actually kind of cool too, because what I've noticed is on the shorter clubs, I tend to miss left. On my longer clubs, and they start missing right. So when I'm on the golf course, when I'm 7-iron or less, maybe I should aim a little to the right to compensate. When I'm 6-iron or more, maybe I should aim a little to the left to compensate. So that's a pretty cool view of it too. And then as you go through, it'll kind of show you where you hit each shot, and then a little dot where the average is. That's the number they're kind of basing it off of. So that is bag mapping. I think this is a pretty cool tool to get your bag dialed in and kind of highlight any adjustments you need to make. So that was really cool. Now let's go ahead and exit out of bag mapping, and we'll go into the skills assessment. So the skills assessment, I think this is another really cool feature of Skytrak software. And this kind of gives you an idea of how you are with each club. So, you can do the default yardages where you start at 60 yards and you kind of progress. I don't particularly like their default because you're going to be hitting mostly the same clubs on the shorter ones and only get into different clubs here. But what they have is they have some different sets that you can pick from. So if you want to do medium, they'll pick a bunch of medium distances. This is probably one of the better ones. You have 50, 90, 110, and it varies them. So you're not, it doesn't actually vary them, but the gapping is just bigger. Again, I don't like that they're in order because, again, that's not golf. And, you got your long one that will kind of do the same thing, but it's a progression. So what I like to do is pick the randomizer, and you pick your range. So, I'd go, somewhere around 50 to maybe 250 or 300, depending on kind of where you max out with a driver. And then you generate, and boom, it's random, it's mixed, and then what you can do is you can massage it from there. So it has a 71 and a 70. Well, that doesn't really make sense to do, but I don't see like a 170. So I might take this one. I might take this one here and change it to, around 170. And then, I'll do that for all these so there's a good gapping and you're not hitting the same shot twice. And then, you can go through and pick which club. So it'll tell you, okay, time to switch to your 9-iron or whatever you hit for each one. And you can pick the number of targets. You can pick the number of shots per target and how many you want to keep of those shots you hit. So if you have like one off one, you don't have to worry about it. But if you do hit a bad one, you can go in here and you can delete the shot or just hide it so it's not included. I usually just delete it, and then you can hit it again. So if you have more than one kind of outlier shot, you don't have to start all over again or your whole thing screwed up. you can just delete it. So I think they did a great job with this. Let's go ahead and take a look at the report that I received after doing my skills assessment. All right, so here's the skills assessment that we get from Skytrak. Once we've hit all of our shots from the 10 targets, it gives us this dynamic handicap of 2.9 for this set I did back in June. I was about a 2.4, 2.5 index at the time, so that's actually pretty accurate. And then it gives you a breakdown of all the shots, your averages, and then as you go through, it'll give you your individual target accuracy, shot dispersion, tendency, and a dynamic handicap from that distance. And you can use that dynamic handicap to kind of figure out which shots you got down and which shots you might need to work on. Like for me, 156 yards apparently, not very good, 11.2. I think that was my worst of the bunch. And then at the end, it gives you like all the information on each individual shot. Of the keepers, I hit 4 and kept 3 when I set this up. So I have them all here. So that is the skills assessment. I think this is a great report, a lot of good information here. And if you run this every month or so, you can really dial in your game. Okay, and the last one in game improvement is a wedge matrix. Again, I think this is a great feature. Knowing what your wedges do at various swings is I think critical to scoring in golf. So similar to the clock drill, you'll use 4 different swing lengths for each club in this exercise: a pitch, half, 3/4, and full swings. When finished, you can use the matrix out on the course to help you choose the best club and swing length combination in any given shot. This is awesome. When I had a Skytrak years ago, I did this. So you pick your wedges. You can define them by degrees. I wish there was a custom. Well, I guess you have a custom bag setup. So like, here's my bag. But again, I think the club selection is still like only they're predetermined. So you get it's just these. So I just go lob wedge, sandwich, gap wedge, pitching wedge. You can pick whichever you like, and then you can choose whether you want to do all 4 or just 2 of them or 3 of them or whatever. Again, how many shots you want to take per club, and how many of those the best shots you want to keep, and do you want to do all 4 swings or fewer? So I think that's great. You can set it to carry. Always do it in carry. Carry is what matters on the course, not your total. That your total is whatever the course gets you after your ball hits the ground, but this is what you can control. So it's got a default. You can create custom ones and save them too. So if you want to have once a month, maybe you're just doing 3 or whatever, you can set that up. So this is an awesome feature. And now I'll show you what you get when you finish. So once you've hit all of your shots doing the wedge matrix, you end up with this report. What I like most is you end up with this little spreadsheet here that you can print out. What I did is actually I cut this out and laminated it, and then I hung it right from my golf bag. So once I was inside 139 yards, I just take a look at my little wedge matrix here and be like, okay, I have 105 yards. Well, what are my options? I could hit a half pitching wedge. I could hit maybe a 3/4 sand wedge, or I can hit a full lob wedge. Depending on if I want to fly it high or low, into the wind or whatever. And so you can use this for all these distances. And I think this is a great tool on the golf course. This will help you score better 100%. So, and then as you scroll down, you can kind of see the breakdown. So the lob wedge, average carry, tendency offline, shot dispersion from the various distances, and it goes through all 4 clubs. And then if you go down a little further, you can get all the ball data on every shot that you hit during the wedge matrix. But ultimately, this is the goal, to have this printed out, hang it from your bag, and now you have confident numbers that you can just go to on the course when you want to hit a particular distance with a wedge. So that's a wedge matrix, and I think this is one of the best tools in the Skytrak software. And then the last section is this challenge one. This is one that I wouldn't spend too much time on personally. I've used it in the past. It's just not that exciting. But it allows you to be social with friends. If you have a couple people over and you want to compete against each other, it gives you something. But if you're doing multiplayer, I feel like you're going to do some of the other simulator softwares and just connect your Skytrak to them. But closest to the pin, you can pick 3 or 6 shots, tell which hand you are, and how you want to score. Let's go. I'll just do 85 yards. and we'll do 3. So this is what it looks like close to the pin. Okay, so we'll hit a few shots and let's see what it looks like. So 85 yards. Miss hit number 2. Okay. Felt like a good one too. And that's, you know, that's probably one of the things that would keep me personally from getting a Skytrak. I mean, before I worked at Foresight, I bought the Launch Pro. It was, and I was coming from Skytrak. It was such a big improvement. You know, it's part of the reason I went to work for the company is because I really like what they're doing. But competition's a good thing, and I do really like Skytrak. But the mishits are a problem. There we go. Okay, a little short, a little right. And it bases it on where it spins to. Okay, hit that one pretty solid. And spin back a little. Wow, it doesn't look like 13 feet. Okay, then we hit one more. Get tight. Oh, longer. And what's kind of cool is you can see, I tested it the other day, but like my score is back when I used to own a Skytrak in 2017. Was the last time I did, and it's still attached to my account. So even though it's been years since I've had one, all my old scores are there. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, that's closest to the pin, kind of what you expect. Super simple, not exciting, but you know, it's something. Long drive kind of works the same way. Target practice is probably the most fun, I guess, of the 3. You know, if we go medium, I'm gonna just stick with the same. Well, we'll change clubs. Why don't we go ahead and hit like a 9-iron or something? Oh, that was not a good swing. Ugh. Oh, that was really bad. Okay. Whew. Let's try that again. That was not a good swing either. It's going to be out to the right. Somewhere between those two is a good shot. So lights up the target when you hit it. Let's see if we can get 1 in the 100 here. Probably should have warmed up before shooting the video. Oh, better. There we go. Get 100. Hey. So that's fun. Just had to warm up a couple swings. So then, you know, you kind of see some old scores. So you can tell I didn't spend a lot of time in challenges because it wasn't that interesting. Yeah, so that's the Skytrak Plus. Who's this really for? This is for your golfer that really wants to start taking their game to the next level, start getting some more information, practice more at home, has the space, maybe not enough space for a radar unit. Like I have just enough space for some radar units, but in my garage here, the optical based units are what works best. You just need enough space to swing on this. It'll work with an iPad. It'll work with a laptop. Unfortunately, not an Apple laptop, just a PC laptop. But you know, it's for the person looking to take it to the next level, but doesn't need to take it out on the course. It doesn't do well outside, just like the last Skytrak. The lighting that kind of washes out the image. It has trouble tracking the ball. You get a lot more mishits outside. You can kind of get away with it on a cloudy day, but if the sun's hitting it, it's not going to work well. So it's really meant for indoor use. You know, some of the cons: not being able to take it outdoors easily. You need another device to get the readings. You can't just look at it like keep saying Foresight stuff, like a GC3 or a GC Quad has a screen on it. You know, a Launch Pro that's in the same price point has a screen on it. You can just plop it down You don't need another device. The full swing kit has a screen on the unit, so if you have space for a radar, that one's a $5,000 unit, or I think 4 or 5. That one has a screen on it, so you don't need a separate device, but you need more space. It's a lot harder to take around the course. So definitely an indoor option, not really great outdoors. It's prone to misses. It'll just miss a shot. When I was doing my testing, I had one run where it missed 5 in a row. When I was trying all these different little locations, especially I found with the faster ball speed shot, so like 3-wood driver, I took 10 swings with the driver and it missed 5, which is just way too many. If you have something like a Launch Pro, it doesn't miss any. The miss percentage is like well under 1%. So that's probably my biggest thing. And then there is a couple second delay between when you hit and when the shot starts. So that's a minor thing, and you do get used to it. When I had Skytrak before, I didn't even think about it anymore after a while. So that's not a big deal, but that's a con. So they do have a subscription-based model, similar to the Launch Pro. That's less, but with the Launch Pro, you get access to FSX Play. It comes with courses. It comes with a much nicer range software, and so you get more for the money, although their price points are higher. So with Skytrak, their plans start. You get the basic for free that just gives you the driving range, and it's not going to give you all the options on the range. I think it's kind of limited on what features you get. For $29.95 a year, you get game improvements. They're most popular, and honestly, unless you really want the E6 or WGT softwares, which aren't great, there's better options out there. This is why it's probably the most popular, because you get all the features you just saw unlocked, and that's really all you need. Plus, you can integrate it with other golf simulator softwares. And then you have the Play and Improve, which has all that, plus the WGT and the E6 Connect. So, for $130 a year and $3,000 for the unit, the price is really good for what you get. Launch Pro, again, it's more per year, but I do think overall that software is better. Although the game improvement features in Skytrak do set it apart from a lot of the other launch monitors on the market. So that's it. That is the Skytrak Plus. That is my review. Overall, it is a great unit, despite a few relatively minor flaws. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.